Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov and Shabbat Shalom. You know, there are many reasons why people get divorced. There's a long list of reasons. But the number one reason that statistics show why people divorce is because of lack of commitment. When they give up on the marriage and they're not willing to put in the work to compromise, to make their marriage stronger. In this week's Torah portion, we have the laws of marriage and the laws of divorce. And the Torah talks about, God forbid, if a marriage is not working out and there's irreconcilable differences, and there's a procedure, there's a method how a person could get a bill of divorce, known as a get. And the Talmud discusses what are the grounds for divorce. When should a couple get divorced? And we find a very fascinating three-way argument in the Talmud. The first opinion is the opinion of Bet Shammai. Bet Shammai says a couple should only get divorced if there was infidelity. That should be the only reason for a divorce. If, God forbid, they were unfaithful to one another. Then along comes Bet Hillel and says, no. Even if the wife burnt the food of the husband, that's enough for grounds for divorce. And then the most shocking and surprising opinion of all is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. And he says, Afilu matza acheret nahemenu. Even if a man finds a more beautiful, more attractive woman, he can go ahead and divorce his wife to marry the more beautiful woman. And while this opinion is surprising in itself, it is more shocking knowing that it's the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, because one of the most romantic love stories in the Talmud is the story of Rabbi Akiva, who marries Rachel, the daughter of Kalba Savua, defying her father's instructions not to marry the shepherd who was an ignoramus. She believed in him, and they had a beautiful marriage, and he became a great Torah scholar through her support and her love. And so how do we understand the opinions of Rabbi Beit Hillel, who says even if your wife burns your food, burnt your dinner, you can divorce her, and Rabbi Akiva, who says even if you find a more attractive woman? And I heard this amazing story. There was this elderly man who lost his beloved wife, and his son and daughter-in-law asked him to move in with them and they'll take care of him. And sure enough, his daughter-in-law was very devoted and prepared all his meals. But every time he would eat dinner, he would taste the food, and in Yiddish he would say, Nishvi mama fleckt kochen. This is not the way mama, meaning his late wife, cooked. Meaning, it's not as good as my wife's. The daughter was slightly insulted. She tried harder and harder. She went through her late mother-in-law's cookbooks to try to find the exact recipes. But to no avail, every time he tasted the food, he said, not the way mama used to cook. One day she was preparing dinner, and her son outside fell off his bicycle and started crying. She ran out, he was bleeding, she had to bring bandages and clean him up. And by the time she got back to cooking, she realized that the dinner was burnt. Well, she had nothing else to serve. The food was slightly burnt. So sure enough, at the dinner, she served the burnt food. When she served her father-in-law the dinner, he took one bite, a second bite, and smiled with this big, broad smile, and he said, this is the way mama fleck kochem. This is the way mama cooked. And the lesson of the story is that this man loved his wife so much that to him, her food was the best food. It didn't matter if it was actually good or not. To him, it was made with his wife's love. It was delicious, no matter what. And this is perhaps what the Talmud's saying. The Talmud's not saying, go get divorced under these circumstances. What the Talmud's saying is how to prevent divorce. When should a man notice that he needs to start working on his marriage to make it better? What are the signs, the symptoms of a marriage that's in jeopardy? So the first opinion is, God forbid, if there's unfaithfulness. That means that your marriage has really gone astray, and you need to come back together and rebuild your relationship, your intimacy. Comes along Bet Hillel and says, no, even if your wife's food tastes burnt to you, If you find this pleasure in the acts of kindness and service of your spouse, and you're not appreciative and grateful for your spouse's best efforts, but you find the negative and the flaw, that means your love is compromised and in jeopardy, and you need to look into your marriage and try to work and fix and repair your marriage. And then comes Rabbi Akiva, the greatest lover of all, the one who had the most beautiful marriage, and said, even if you see a woman that's more attractive, more beautiful than your wife, that means that your marriage is not intact. If you find another woman more beautiful than your wife, that means you need to be more committed to fixing and to strengthening your marriage, because this is a sign, this is a signal that your marriage is not complete. And as long as we have that commitment to working together, to putting in the effort and the dedication to our spouses, then we'll be blessed with long and happy marriages. Shabbat Shalom.